Welcome to the NAO show. We have a special guest, not that guy, but we have Ian. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Good to be here again.
Great for having you. Bye. All right, just kidding, Ian. Just kidding. This is the NAO show. We got a fantastic show for y'all. I know, Evan, you were hanging on every whatever. This is the award show. We are going to do 4 awards, and welcome to the show, guys. How y'all doing?
Good.
Good.
Mm-hmm. All right, Marky Mark kicks off for his first award, big guy.
Well, before we do that, I just wanted to welcome in Ian again, and we haven't had you on since you won your championship, so we wanted to congratulate you for that. Begrudgingly congratulate you for that. But now, good season.
It's good to be hated, right?
Yeah. You thrive on it, don't you? So I just had one question though. Have you done the math? Would you have won whether or not you had Aaron Rodgers on your roster?
Yeah, I think I would have done well, especially in the final. I won pretty convincingly in the end, I think. But even the lead up, there was only, I think, 2 weeks from week 9 where he made a difference. Where like if I'd have picked the right quarterback from my bench, my disastrous bench of quarterbacks, I would have still got a better producer had I picked the right one. But it was nice to not have the question every week, as Sean knows full well.
Well, that's why I'm asking. I'm just wondering, Sean, can we put this whole Rodgers thing to rest? I mean, he would have gotten it anyway. So
I've got a follow-up question. I think.
All right.
What would you have been able to do with Curtis Samuel in your lineup? You were freaking pushing him on everybody.
He was good in the end of the season. I would have played him. He was better than DJ Moore, more consistent than DJ Moore in the end. So, yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, he had the Russian chops, so he was doing well.
So you guys gave me heck for that, but I was right. You all had every one of you had the opportunity to have him. Every single one of you.
Yeah, for a low price of a first-round pick and your best prospect.
Hey, gotta set the bar high.
Yeah, you set it all the way up there.
Well, Ian, for your championship, we got you a little something here. So let me just pass that over to you.
Oh my gosh!
There you go, man.
It's a little bigger in my screen.
Yeah, it's because you're compensating for something.
Shrek says he's compensating for something, which I think means he has a teeny tiny donkey. Yeah, he's compensating. Look at that thing, man. Whew. Well, congratulations, man. Can't take it away from you. You had a good season, so we're coming after you this next season, though. So be prepared.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. All right. So as Sean alluded to, we are doing an award show tonight. The NFL just had their awards right before the Super Bowl, and so we're going to do
Whoa. Who won that Super Bowl?
I don't know. I didn't watch.
Some old guy.
Wasn't interested. Yeah. Wasn't interested, man.
Used to be on a good team. I don't know where he is these days.
Belichick still has more Super Bowls than Brady, though. So
that's true. He has 8. He has 8.
So Brady's got to keep playing so we can at least tie him, right?
2 more.
Yeah. So we're going to do the NAO awards. So tonight we're going to start with some nominations, and then we're going to ask you guys in the league to vote on each category. We've got 4 categories with 4 nominations each. And tonight, each of us are going to make a case for one of the nominations. So should be a lot of fun. I'm
going to be very convincing.
Yeah. As you
for a change.
So passionate. You're so passionate. So, John, do you have anything to add to that? I think I covered everything. We're gonna ask the guys to vote. We're gonna defend our guys, give them out. What did I miss? Anything?
You haven't missed anything. I just want to stress that everyone get their votes in so they count. We want everybody to participate and have a say in our show.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, we'll give a little more information on that when we get to wrapping things up. But let's get started with this thing. We're going to start with the first category, which is MVP of the NAO League. So I'm going to start off with the first nomination, which is Travis Kelce. So Travis Kelce, tight end one, obviously. I think everybody knows that, even people that don't follow football. The interesting thing I found out was that if he was listed as a wide receiver, he would be the wide receiver 4. He was also 7th overall as non as a I'm tripping over my words here. 7th overall besides as a non-quarterback. Couldn't quite get that out. So 7th overall in fantasy points in the league. 16.3 points per game. He only had 2 games that were under double digits. The thing that I like the best that I think makes him the MVP is he had 79 first down catches, which was good for 75.24% of his catches. So this guy was moving the chains. That's a valuable player right there. He had 23 catches of 20 plus yards, and he had 11 TDs. And of course, we all know that he broke the record this year for receiving yards for a tight end. So that's quite an impressive resume. So relating it to the NAO League, he never came out of Skippy's lineup, and he gave him a good chance to win every week, because while we were all scrambling to get a guy in there that maybe will get us a touchdown, Skippy's getting 16.3 points per week from Kelce. So it really gave him an edge. So what do you guys think about Kelce? Anybody?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a no-brainer, honestly, which helps obviously with your age. You haven't got to think about it too hard, but no, he's a difference maker in any position, but at the tight end position, it's incredible how the gap between him and number 2 is, and don't get me wrong, Waller was a big part of my offense.
Yeah.
I mean, you can 40. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's special.
Yeah.
I think there was only a couple tight ends this year that we could have actually used in the flex position and set it and forget it, and he's definitely one of them. Ian having the other guy. I mean, you could have put them in a flex and they could have done more than a wide receiver, or because I mean, like you said, alluded to, he was wide receiver number 4 if he was a wide receiver. So
yeah, that's a good point, Sean. Good point. Any thoughts, Mike, on Kelce?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, like Ian said, the gap between him and really everybody else at the tight end position. I mean, that's, in my opinion, I think the biggest argument for him being the MVP this year.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
All right, Mike, why don't you give us the second nomination in the MVP category?
We are going to go with New Orleans Saints running back Alvin Kamara.
Who is he?
Huh? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the immediate thing is that he was the number 1 running back, number 1 scoring running back. The second biggest thing is obviously it affects our league slightly less because we don't have a Week 16 game, but those 54 points, a monster game, 6 touchdowns. He won every other league. Whoever had him probably won that week for him. The third that I was reminded about a lot is because my wife said so. So
Nobody
a
else
massive Saints fan, and she benefited from 54 points in the
Yes.
championship week.
Yeah, I was going to say she won a championship with him.
So she's been telling me that he's the MVP for the last 5 weeks.
And Mike's wife is a pretty big New Orleans Saints fan and loves her some Kamara. So
yeah, that must have made it extra nice to win the championship with one of your favorite guys.
Oh yeah.
I tend to stay away from the Cowboys, so I don't get disappointed if they don't do well. You know,
I try and stay away from them, and I'm not even a fan.
Yeah.
Ian, this is something that we agree on. What?
So in the Who Asked You category, yeah, that's he's definitely just for that 1 week alone. I think a lot of people would vote for him, but definitely he had a little bit of a lull in the season, but he's still just really
It was
produced.
really
lately.
only for like a week and a half with when Taysom Hill came in
Right.
under center,
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
it
he had that
wasn't as
one
bad
bad
as
game
everybody
against.
thought.
He had one bad game against Denver late in the season, but if I remember, that game was pretty bad conditions.
it was. Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think with
Yeah,
the,
wasn't that the one where they had where they didn't have a quarterback, Denver?
Yeah, that was that game.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
the
so like it wasn't really a game where New Orleans were trying that hard either. So I think they scored like 20
Yeah.
points on defense. So
yeah.
yeah, that's true. I think people that drafted AK in the first round were happy with the return. I think always in that first 1 to 4 draft picks, it's kind of hard to live up to that draft pick because I mean, if you're drafting in the first spot and you're drafting AK in the first spot, which no one did really because it was Saquon Barkley, rest in peace.
Yeah, he was the 5th running back taken in our league.
Yeah.
Pick 8.
he
yeah,
he definitely
bargain.
lived up to the hype.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Sean, why don't you give us the third nomination in the MVP category?
All right. I got another, I think a no-brainer too. And the third nomination is Derrick Henry. Underdogs has him. I got a couple stats for y'all. He averaged 18.28 points per game in the regular season. And then in the playoffs, if 18 points wasn't enough, he averaged 34.73 points in the playoffs. Crazy, if you
Did he
ask me.
really? I didn't realize that.
Then, if that
It's
wasn't
because
enough,
Sean had to go against him 3 weeks in a row, so he knows all his numbers.
yes, I did. I went against them 3 weeks in a row and ate all of those points. All right. So obviously, we all know Derrick Henry was the number 1 running back overall. But the number 2 running back, Dalvin Cook, that our guest Ian owns, Derrick Henry outran him by 470 yards. Let that sink in. 470 yards between 1 and 2. Derrick Henry had 2,027 yards in one season. One season.
Yeah.
The only downside to Derrick Henry, I will say, is that he was very, 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 very run heavy. He only got 31 targets, which puts him down into like the low 30s for target rate, and he only caught 19 receptions. That's the only downside to Derrick Henry. The underdogs pretty much not the underdogs. Silly.
Yeah, it's the underdog.
Skippy.
It's Skippy.
Skippy set him and forget him. That's
Yeah.
pretty much all he did. He had Derrick Henry in there every week that he could play.
Yeah. Any thoughts, guys?
Yeah, he's a good piece. He's just a bit boring to watch, personally. But like, I mean, he's a monster. But like, it doesn't like thrill me just watching a guy hand another guy off. Oh, they've seen this before.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to Derrick Henry, he just gets like 4 to 5 yards every time he freaking runs the ball. It's just straight up the middle.
Yeah. I mean, he runs it like 30 times a game. It's like, so his production is over volume, not explosiveness. Whereas like Dalvin Cook gets 70 yards in a run, and then he'll like, so it's like much more fun to watch. But I mean, he's a great player. So
Yeah.
And talk about draft value. In ours, he went round 2, pick 9.
just
Right.
because he's
I think,
ugly.
Yeah.
Well, that and he's 27 years old. So
Well, everybody's going for the running back, the 3-down guy, and Derrick Henry's not a receiving back, as Sean just talked about, but he's still a 3-down guy because he's always in there, and they give it to him on 3rd down sometimes too. So
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, if you're averaging 5 yards a carry, even 4 yards a carry, you can run it 3 times and get the first down. So
right. So he's a different kind of 3-down back, but
yeah.
yeah.
Ian, go ahead and tell us your pick.
Well, I got Tyreek the Freak, 5'8", runs a 4.1 40, throwing up the V's, getting his comeback in the Super Bowl. But boy, is he exciting to watch. He's the exact antithesis of Derrick Henry. Tiny, explosive, exciting. He can get 50 points a week or in a week without, really blinking. It's just, I mean, what do you say? Number 2 receiver on the year. He was number 1 2 years ago. He obviously had some injuries last year, but there's just nobody who has that ceiling. Even Devontae Adams, even Michael Thomas, when he was playing so good last year, don't have the ceiling that Tyreek has with Patrick Mahomes on the center. So he's just, yeah, I mean, he's a difference maker. He's like Kelsey, and they're ironically in the same team. So,
Yeah, I mean, and working in concert, those guys. Who do you pick your poison most of the time? They did well against them in the Super Bowl, but most of the time it's like you double up on Tyreek and Kelsey goes off, and you concentrate a little more on Kelsey, and then Tyreek's going for 60, 70 yards. So
yeah. It's
He
horrible
has
from the
some
defensive side.
Crazy explosive ability, especially with the explosive ability of Patrick Mahomes at the quarterback position. You never know if he's gonna go for 100 or 200 yards, and anytime he touches the ball, even on a jet sweep, he could run it to the end zone. With that speed.
yeah,
He has
tap pass, jet
crazy,
sweep.
exciting ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a poor man's Curtis Samuel, I heard. Oh no.
I hadn't heard that. Must be a
You've been the
British.
only one to have ever said that, but okay.
Must be a British thing.
Yeah.
Mike, what do you think about Tyreek?
I think the consistency is his biggest strength. I mean, normally guys that have these insane ceilings, they hit them once or twice a season. We all get excited, but Tyreek hits it every week almost. It seems like. I think he only had one bad game against Buffalo all season. He had 15 others.
Besides the Super Bowl, but we digress.
It's a fantasy show.
Yeah, we're talking fantasy.
Oh, mother.
Yeah. Well, you guys might have noticed that we didn't have. There's no Devontae Adams, no Dalvin Cook. Definitely, those guys are maybe deserving. But the criteria we set up for this was we wanted guys that played the whole season. So all of the guys that we just mentioned played through week 15, 16, where everybody was, doing their championships without missing a game. So that was our criteria. Was the MVP was a guy that you had in your lineup, and the only time you had to worry about him was during the bye week. So that's why no Dalvin Cook, no Devontae Adams. Those guys all played all the way through the season, which was pretty amazing too. With all the injuries that we saw.
Devontae Adams, fantastic players. We're not taking anything away from them. We just had to come up with criteria that we had to pick people from.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Mark, let's go.
Yeah, man. Let's go to the second category here, which is Rookie of the Year. So I'm going to start out with my first nomination, which is James Robinson. So James Robinson, running back 7 as a rookie, undrafted free agent. He averaged 15.06 points per games. He only had 2 games that he didn't hit double digits. And in one of those, he hit 9.5. So he was right there at it. He's a 3-down back. He had 49 receptions for 344 yards. And the thing that I think makes him the most valuable, he was only one spot behind Jonathan Taylor, who we all know had a good season as well, but he did it on a bad team. He didn't have that line that Jonathan Taylor has. He had to play behind a average, probably below average, a line on a bad team, and he still put up some great numbers. It was an amazing season for an undrafted free agent. And is relating it to NAO, he's on the underdogs. Underdogs traded for him. They had traded away Zeke to our boy Mike Deasy there, and they didn't have much going on for him, and they traded for James Robinson, and then he went in their lineup and stayed there except for the bye week. So
I think they traded like a pack of chips and a cheese string for him.
A whole bunch of backups.
Yeah, the aforementioned ham sandwich that Sean was
Oh
trying to
no, he
pedal
didn't.
the-
They didn't even trade away a ham sandwich. That's a whole. That's a meal.
Ham sandwich is top tier. Let me tell you.
Yeah, come on now.
I will say Tony Pollard was a nice piece. He's a good handcuff. And at the time, I was like, oh, I would have taken Tony Pollard over James Robinson, but then we all know what he did. So to me, he was definitely rookie of the year coming from nowhere. What do you guys think, Ian? Any more thoughts there?
No, I mean he's probably the most surprising undrafted rookie that we've seen in a while. I mean, I know Philip Lindsay was pretty good a couple of years ago, but different players, and like you say, the team themselves, even Denver, were not that bad. Even a couple years ago, they're pretty bad now, but they weren't terrible. Whereas Jacksonville were actively tanking and yet actively not throwing the ball. So it was like you knew what they were doing on defense, and yet he still was productive. So yeah, I think he was a good piece, and they got him for obviously in our league they got him for free. So
Yeah, I gotta give you some credit there, Ian. Unfortunately, because I think you're dead on. I mean, no one saw this coming at the beginning of the year, and when they traded for him, they were all about him, and it definitely worked out. I think they rolled the dice, and the dice came up lucky 7. So
yeah, I'm still waiting on Raekwon Armstead to get out of hospital and get that job back.
yeah, you keep waiting.
I got him in my other dynasty, and it's puzzling, but he had a rough time with the COVID this year for sure.
Poor guy.
Yeah. Mike, any thoughts on James Robinson there?
Yeah, I think it's just a big surprise. I mean, whoa.
Mabel's a fan.
James Robinson in the background there.
That's what she thinks about him.
That's
I
what
guess.
she
She's a fan. Woohoo. James Robinson. Woo, woo, woo.
I figured she'd be more of a Nick Chubb fan, but
I would have thought so too. Maybe she's a Hunt fan.
maybe. Yeah, I can see that.
So, Mike, were you finished, or did you start?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, just a nice surprise for him. I mean, when they traded for him, that was one confident trade, and I think everyone was waiting for him to be the classic underdogs trade where something goes wrong with one of their players, but never did.
Yeah.
Damn it.
All right, Mike, why don't you give us your nomination?
Mine is actually going to be Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert. And
Biased.
we could go over all the stats. We could, he was number 9 overall player in fantasy. We could go over everything, but I think I'm just going to read a few choice lines from other fantasy players around the country here.
Oh, okay.
Seriously, one pick away from Tua and passing on Simmons. Justin Herbert? No one named Herbert will do anything but suck. Ask 10 people who is going to bust, and 10 will say Herbert. Okay, so here's one more. He's going to get people fired and be a nowhere quarterback that flashes once and wastes your time. Good luck, Los Angeles. Oh, okay.
Wow.
We'll see.
And here's my favorite one.
Yeah.
There it is. The Chargers got their Mitch Trubisky.
Oh man,
Brutal.
that was
I like it.
rough.
I like it. What do you think about that, Ian?
That's hilarious. I wish I'd have came up with some of those.
Yeah. I have to say I wasn't high on him either, and some of the things that he wasn't good at as a college player are things that you don't just overcome in the pros. So I don't know if he got coached up or if they were holding him back in college, but man, he definitely exceeded my expectations by a mile. What do you think, Sean?
Well, I had a question for Mike. Like, what made you draft him? What was the X factor? How'd you know you had lightning in a bottle?
I mean, 5th round. I mean, it was just best player available at that point. I mean, obviously wasn't looking quarterback with, at the time I had Mahomes, and then I had Kirk Cousins as my backup, and Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold at the time. So, I mean, in hindsight, not great, but, wasn't necessarily looking to draft a quarterback, just went best available.
So you're saying you got lucky? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have no problem with that.
Lucky
Yeah, it
pass.
was just like the Chargers. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they drafted him as a backup, and then,
And then they
Tyrod
punctured
got
their main
stuck.
guys wrong.
Yeah.
They were like, "We have a quarterback? What?"
And the crazy part is Anthony Lynn still got fired. You know, like how do you have a quarterback
that's-
like that and you still get fired after the season?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's good
Really
reason for that. He told him to stop throwing to Keenan Allen. When Keenan Allen was catching 16 balls a game, and he's like, "Nah, we're cluing in too much on this guy.
Yeah.
He's catching the balls." Well, whatever, bro. You're
You
I
were
read
fired.
that.
all about that, weren't you,
Yeah.
there, Ian? Catching those balls.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I read that too, and I'm like, are you kidding me, man? It's not broke. Why are you trying to fix it? You know?
Yeah, it's like he wanted to get fired.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Well, Sean, why
Well,
don't you take us into our third nomination here?
our third nomination should be no surprise to anybody in any league. My man, Justin Jefferson from LSU. Suck it, Ian. So, just so we can start off, he broke records, okay? Just to put that out there. Not any records, but Randy Moss and Anquan Bolden records, all right? Both of those guys were behind Justin Jefferson in yards this year. Justin Jefferson had 1,400 yards. Number two, Anquan Bolden, in 2003, had 1,377 yards. Randy Moss, the Hall of Famer. Hall of Fame Randy Moss in 1998 had 1,313 yards. He beat both them. Besides the point. He had 230 fantasy points, which is the same as a very well-known wide receiver, somebody that would be picked very early in any draft, DeAndre Hopkins. Just saying. He was 6th overall, and that was with having Adam Thielen on the same team, which almost had 1,000 yards. He had 925 yards, and he had 108 targets. Justin Jefferson had 125 targets and caught 88 targets, which was 70% of his targets. So he's pretty much a throw it, he's going to catch it type guy. That just shows his athletic ability, his hands, and for fantasy points, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, anybody would want him on his team. Very well.
I just got an email here. His restraining order is in effect on you right now, Sean. Just FYI. It's through the end of the year.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not Man Crush Monday. What's going on here, man?
Oh, it's man crush every day when you talk about Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, we're long gone man crush here. It's starting to borderline a little bit Jack the Ripper style. But anyways,
Okay.
Mike, any thoughts on Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, I think in terms of the real NFL outside fantasy, I think a season like Justin Jefferson had, they need to start separating quarterback and skill position players. I think there was obviously a real life argument and fantasy argument that Justin Jefferson obviously had a better season, more impressive season than Herbert maybe. I mean, you know, I didn't read all the records Herbert broke either, but you know, I think
Break any? I can't remember.
yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
he sure
yeah, he
did.
did. He broke quite a few of them actually.
Yeah, he did. He did.
But you know, I think there's reason that they should be separated because of a season like he had. It was actually pretty incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all agree with that. We've talked about that a lot on chat, and they should have separate categories for sure.
yeah, I think it goes all the way down as well. The MVP, it's always a quarterback race, and I don't think that's always accurate. But I like Justin Jefferson. He's a good piece, and all those numbers you talk about, and he was barely used the first two games. So
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he did in last
Um,
games.
I mean, I think he was only around like 60% of the snap share, even. So
Yeah,
he looked great.
Yeah, sure did. All right, Ian, give us the last nomination for Rookie of the Year.
Well, it should be the only nomination. Jonathan Taylor, JT.
All right, let's hear it.
The Raging Bull, he's a beast. He has all the athletic ability of anybody that's ever come out of the draft as far as size, speed, and agility. I do agree with what you're saying about falling to a fortunate position in terms of the O-line. However, he didn't fall into a fortunate position in terms of his coach. Frank Reich is a moron and refuses to run the ball.
Wait until
Even-
like week 12 to run him.
Yeah, even with like a 470-year-old Philip Rivers, who's never really been that good at scrambling, anyways, and yeah, he's still with the weirdest throwing action I've ever seen, other than maybe Sean's.
Hey, I got a big hold on a minute.
Yeah, but you got a laser, right? No,
Yeah, I got a
Jonathan Taylor,
laser.
despite all of that, came out this season and was the right pick. I mean, Josh picked the right guy. He was 100% right on JT over CH as far as the best running back from the rookie class, at least this year. And if you had Taylor and you were in the playoff hunt, he probably won you a championship. His like you said, from week 12 on, he was unbelievable. 21, 29, 17, 19, 37. Yeah, thanks very much. I'll take that. So
Yeah, anybody would take that.
yeah, and if they're smart, they'll do more of the same next year and going forwards. So
Yeah, I think he, like a lot of rookies, we see that it takes him a while to adjust to running behind a pro line, and with the speed of the game, he did seem a little bit lost early on, but man, he finally got it together there and was just pretty amazing.
He was pretty serviceable in the first few weeks, and then they just
he was.
Yeah, the
started going-
usage was weird if you like actually look at his week to week. Like the first few weeks were fine, and then he like everybody questioned what the heck he was doing.
I
Yeah,
think he
so-
was hurt. I think he was hurt more than everyone thinks. And they just kind of took him away from snaps to protect him.
perhaps, but it never made sense. I mean, he would get all the snaps in the first drive, get 60 yards, and then he wouldn't see the ball till the second half. And you're like,
Right.
what? Oh yeah, because Naheem Hines is a difference maker. Come on.
No, I agree. It was
If anybody
maddening.
wants Naheem Hines, I have him.
Is he on the
You're
block?
good.
Sean?
You
He's
keep
on the
him.
block.
He's on the block.
Yeah. No, it was maddening to see how they used him, and I think hopefully they'll wisen up and get him the ball more, because he's ready to go, man. He was definitely jamming by the end of the season there.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah.
And he finished one. I think he finished sixth, so one spot above James Robinson and overall in the season. So for a rookie, good campaign.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the one thing we can say about all these rookies is that they all came out swinging in their first year. And I think it'll be interesting to see what they do in that sophomore year. A lot of people have sophomore slumps. I think it's going to be really interesting to see who doesn't, who takes that next step, who makes the pick even more worth having. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good take.
Okay. Moving on to our third category, we've got the most valuable flex of the NAO league. So in this one here, we were just taking, it's not your one or two guys. It's that guy that you didn't put in your top spots, but you had him in your flex, and he did a good job for you all year long, all season long, let's say. So I'm going to start with the first nomination, which is Cole Beasley, wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. So Cole was the wide receiver 27, so it was just outside of wide receiver 2. He scored 11.1 points per game, 82 receptions, 967 yards, and he missed 2 games. So he would have been a 1,000-yard receiver if he could have played all the games. He had 15 catches of 20-plus yards. And just like my guy Kelsey from the MVP category, I like Cole because he had 53 first down receptions, which was good for 64.6% of his catches. So again, another chain mover. And even going back to his days with the Cowboys, Cole Beasley's always been that guy that when you need a few yards on third down, he's going to get them for you. And then the dude played with a broken leg. I know that was the playoffs, but he played with a broken leg, and I thought you put him away. we got a baby on the screen, and it's kind of distracting.
He escaped.
And And
It
you
took
said
Marky
you,
Mark this long to figure out
no,
that
it
yeah.
didn't.
Smitty is on the show.
I was trying to
Beasley.
ignore it. I was trying to ignore it. Like, why do you said you put the baby away? What's going on, man?
It's
So,
He's
but
cuter to look at than Ian is, anyways.
yeah, true. So again, going back to, relating it to NAO, Skippy wasn't real deep on his roster, and Cole Beasley was a solid flex for him for many weeks. So what do you guys think about Cole Beasley?
I'll
Most
never
athletic
vote Cole
redhead in the
Beasley.
league.
Whoa. Michael, go first.
Yeah, I should have called an A.
I'm never gonna vote Cole Beasley for anything other than biggest whiner, I guess. But
That's a Dallas Cowboy fan take.
yeah, my biggest take on Cole Beasley is he complained about being a third down receiver only in Dallas, and now he goes there and he's
Does the same
Allen's most
damn
trusted
thing.
third down receiver.
Same
He is
damn
a
thing.
third down receiver. That is, it's so blatant that he's third down. It's not even funny. Like,
Yeah,
if
but I
it's
got it.
second down and almost third down, he comes out, just because he knows he's a third down receiver. He knows that he is only going to play one snap,
But how valuable is that? A guy that moves the chains. That's valuable.
Mhm.
What do you think, Ian?
He's the most athletic redhead in the league. So
Is he a redhead? I thought he was a blonde.
no, that's
What?
he's
You thought he's a
redhead.
blonde? Do you need to get your eyes checked?
I probably do, man.
He did have the helmet catch for you guys, didn't he? Way back when.
No. This ain't Tyreek. I think you're
I know.
having flashbacks, all right?
No. Cole Beasley had his own version of the helmet catch.
Well, the coolest thing about Cole Beasley is go and Google him dunking the basketball. Dude's like what, 5'7", and he can straight up two-hand slam that bad boy, man.
Oh, I was right. The most athletic redhead, not just in football, but apparently in the world now.
Shoot, I can do that too. Not
Yeah.
really. Don't tell me.
You couldn't do that with a trampoline.
I
All right, Mike, who's your nomination?
I have Chase Claypool, who's also on my roster. So you think I would have done better having all these guys?
All these award-winning guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when you're talking about flex, it is kind of the rank and how they finish is slightly more important. But yeah, he was the number 24 overall wide receiver in PPR leagues. He was another guy that he kind of came, and not that he came out of nowhere. I mean, he started off pretty okay. He had a down little bit, but I mean, he turned out to be pretty consistent. I honestly, remembering his season since he was in my lineup, he kind of trailed away there at the last few weeks of the season, which was a little tough to see. He was front and middle of the season heavy, and then when we all needed him in playoffs, he sort of did fade away slightly. But he's a guy that really I was excited about for seeing and going into next year. There's all the talk about Juju and what he's going to do. I don't think it affects Chase Claypool too much. I think his talent it's going to be there. Dude's going to be a monster. Just wish he showed up in week 12, 13, 14.
I think that was a little bit more about
think
Ben
you're right
than-
on there, Mike. Claypool's going to be a fantastic pick for you in the third round. I think you picked him, third pick in third round, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to be a solid pick for you going forward. I mean, he's not even at his top level, It's all uphill from him. I think he's going to be a great pick for you.
What do you think, Ian?
Yeah, no, I like Claypool. He seems like a good kid too, as far as keeping his head down, working hard. But he has a pretty deep skill set. As far as he's sort of like a utility player, but he's a big guy. So
yeah. Yeah. Do you know what school he came from?
Claypool,
Yeah.
Notre Dame, wasn't it?
yeah, Notre Dame, I think.
Yeah.
Notre Dame. All right. I didn't know that.
Notre
Yeah, I'll
Dame.
get him and Pittman confused because I think Pittman was USC, was he not?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
So Claypool is Notre Dame for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
And aren't you glad they didn't make him a tight end?
Yeah. He's big enough to be a tight end.
Yeah. They were talking about making him a
Like
tight
6'4"
end.
6'4" or something, 6'5".
Yeah.
And he
Nah,
was,
he-
I think he was unfancied coming out of high school. I don't think he was really a high prospect out of high school. He kind of walked on to Notre Dame, I think, if I remember rightly. So
1 star, 2 star type deal.
Something like
You
that.
know who
Yeah.
else was a 2-star? Justin Jefferson.
Oh my God. Moving on. Moving
Yeah,
on.
we're not talking Rookie of the Year right now. Come
Oh,
on.
okay. I apologize. I digress. I apologize.
That was the last category.
Oh, okay.
All right, Sean.
I guess it's my turn
Yeah,
for
give us your guy.
most valuable flex of the year. And the third nomination goes to Corey Davis. Underdogs, you got your boy. He was wide receiver 2 on the team, but he was wide receiver 30 overall, which for a flex spot is really, really good. He had 984 yards, 65 receptions on 92 yards.
92 targets.
Yes, targets. 92 targets. That's why you're here. The underdogs used them 8 times throughout the year, which is pretty good for a flex spot. I mean, every week you're trying to figure out what the best flex to play is. He averaged 12.9 points per game, which is pretty good. And then a couple cool stats that I found on him. Yards per reception, he was number 21 for 15.1 yards. Yards per target, he was number 8 overall with 10.7. And yards per route run, he was number 4 with 2.69 yards. Just some cool stats about him to throw out there for you. I think he's good. I think he was a fantastic wide receiver too, unless you didn't have Adam Thielen, which was second behind Justin Jefferson. But I think Corey Davis was a fantastic guy to have.
If we learn anything, we know that Sean likes Justin Jefferson.
Oh, who's he? I don't even have any idea who he is.
I hope he doesn't listen to this show.
Yeah.
Man, I really hope he does because I love that dude.
Mike, any thoughts on Corey Davis?
The one thing that I was kind of looking up some of his stuff that I thought was interesting was everyone's always, kind of chasing that one, Corey Davis season. Everyone, he always has that potential, and he's always just so close. And if he hits that potential, he's in the discussion for maybe fantasy MVP. But to me, Corey Davis is a fine receiver. Everything's great about him. But yeah, it's always that waiting for the Corey Davis season, and then AJ Brown comes and has a Corey Davis season.
Yeah. Another point about Corey Davis is you don't know when to play him, when he's going to have that big game, when he's going to have that 30+ point game. It's just kind of I hope this week is it, He even had a week where he had 0 points on 3 targets.
He had 2 weeks where he put up 0 points.
Yeah.
And 1 week he put up 2.9 in another week. So he has talent, but for me, I wouldn't want him because I just, like you say, I would never know when to play him. I'd rather have a guy that's a volume player that's not as maybe talented physically as a Corey Davis, someone like a Robert Woods who every week is going to put up, going to get the targets, going to get the yards, maybe not the touchdowns, but you can put him out there and he's going to be consistent. Corey Davis is great when he plays well. I mean, he's like another wide receiver 1, which is like cheating at the flex position. When he doesn't, you may as well not have him. You may as well leave it open and just ride with a player down and see if you can win that way. So
yeah,
I think a solid flex play is anywhere between 9 to 12 points. What do you guys say?
Yeah, I mean that's
yeah.
good. Yeah.
But the trouble with him is he's 24 1 week and then 2 the next. So it's
So he got you the 13-point average, but
yeah, exactly.
1 week was a real suck week,
I guess looking at it, if he scores more than 20 points, you sit him the next week. He scored 22, then 0, and then 29, and then 2.
Yep.
Interesting to me that they declined his 5th-year option, and then he has his best season, and now they kind of are in a quandary what to do. I think they should sign him. I really think that he's a good compliment to AJ Brown. I don't think he'll be as good with another team. What do you guys think?
Yeah, he's certainly not a 1.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't be good as a lead receiver, I don't think. Kind of like a Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd's not a wide receiver 1. He needs a big guy across from him to draw the best coverage.
Yeah.
He's lucky that he went from AJ Green to T Higgins in a sense.
Right.
So I agree.
That's a great point because I think if Corey Davis went anywhere else, he's not as good. And I think the Titans should trade him at max value right now because I think they could fit another wide receiver in the wide receiver 2 spot and have that wide receiver play the CB2, CB3, because AJ is going to get the CB1 all the time.
Yeah. They don't need to spend the money on that because he's going to cost them a decent amount in free agency now. They run the ball so much they don't need to spend big bucks on a secondary wide receiver. So
Yeah.
And they already spent a lot on Humphreys, so either get rid of Humphreys and keep Davis, or let
Yep.
Davis go and make Humphreys earn that money. So
yeah.
Ian, who's your guy?
Well, apparently he's a football player. I don't know. All I ever saw was TikToks and dancing on logos. So I didn't even know he played football since the second season he was in the league. But I looked it up, and he actually outscored Chase Claypool by 1.5 points. So ecstatic. Juju Smith-Schuster. If you didn't realize, I didn't get to pick this guy. So my pick would have been Robert Woods probably. But I mean, Juju.
No one cares.
No, nobody cares. Juju's a good player, I guess, but he's probably the third look on his team right now, and he's probably not going to be there next year. So there's a lot of question marks about what he's going to do next year. And obviously, as the lead wide receiver, he didn't really do much the year that AB sat out, or not sat out, but went to Oakland and the Patriots and sat out. So he's a good player. He's he's very talented. I just don't know if mentally he's got it as far as to be a top receiver, top wide receiver 1 to lead a team. He's a great compliment. If the Titans could get him cheap, that would be a wonderful replacement for Corey, but I don't think he'll be cheap. So
I think that's a great point. I think it's the writing's on the wall with the wide receiver 1. I don't think he's a wide receiver 1 at all. I think he needs the wide receiver 1 to pull the CB1 and the safety away from him. And that's where Juju is able to really flourish. I think you hit it on the head. Once AB sat out, everybody was like, all right, Juju, you had this fantastic year. We're ready for you to go to wide receiver 1 status. And he kind of flopped. I mean, even this year, Deontay Johnson, am I saying that right? Deontay Johnson, he had a pretty good year. And then some schlub that Ian keeps on trying to push on me, Washington, he had a womp year, but it's okay. Juju's a pretty good wide receiver. I think if he's in a group like he is right now, he can really do well.
Mike?
Yeah, I agree with, like, when we're talking about Corey Davis maybe not being a 1, and going to a different team and not doing as well, like, my first thought is Juju. Then really because of the AB situation and what happened there. I think he had a pretty good season. Actually, I didn't know the point difference with him and Claypool. It's kind of interesting, but I think the season he had could have been, if you compare it to that, it's because of the resurgence of someone like Deontay Johnson and Claypool coming in, and it's kind of solidifies for me that he's not necessarily a 1, but I guess heck, that fits the flex definition. But
he was the highest scoring receiver in the Steelers offense this year. Obviously, Deontay Johnson missed a few games, and Chase being a rookie, but I mean, between the three of them, they averaged like 180 points each. So that's a good group right there. But he just, from a fantasy perspective, he takes away from the other two. I would much rather Pittsburgh run with Deontay and Chase and just run with those two guys and the Ebron, and then Juju go somewhere else and be a number 2 somewhere else. I think it would be better for everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to happen. And I really feel like this season was a little bit of an outlier because when Ben got hurt and the running game wasn't there and the offensive line just stunk, they were just throwing a lot of short passes, and Juju's ADOT was pretty low. I think he can be better if he goes elsewhere. I agree that he's not a wide receiver 1, but he's going to be a really good wide receiver 2 if he goes someplace else. So, yeah. All right, let's get to our 4th category, the 4th award. This one's interesting. Now, this is not about players. This is a NAO league specific. So let me read off what the category is. This is top movie that Evan and Josh would Netflix and chill with. Did we all get that? Top movie that Evan and Josh would Netflix and chill with.
And when we say Netflix and chill, we're talking one bowl of popcorn between them, sharing it together. Because we all know that's how you Netflix and chill, right?
That's a mental picture I don't want.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. We
Gotta
don't
go
have
to
to
sleep
there.
after that one.
All right, so I'm going to start off. My movie that I nominated is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. So in this, I see Josh as the uptight Neil Page, played by Steve Martin, and Evan as the loud and annoying Del Griffith, played by John Candy. So, it's a classic case of sorry guys.
It's in the genes.
Yeah. So it's a classic case of two distinctly different personalities and how rushing to judgment can set the tone for a strained relationship. And I think that Josh and Evan, if they watch this together, they would, Josh would kind of realize that, Evan is not such a bad guy. He's an annoying guy. He's kind of he's loud and he's in your face, but Josh would kind of realize that Evan's not such a bad guy, and maybe Evan would realize that maybe I need to dial it back just a little bit. So to me, it's a classic movie where two guys that clash end up being buddies, and isn't that what we all want to see? What do you think, guys?
I like to think that there's the scene where John Candy's sleeping and snoring in the hotel room, and Steve Martin can't sleep. And I like to think that that's how they are because Hill has him blocked, so he's just snoring away, and Evan's screaming about it, can't do anything about it.
What do you think, Sean?
I think it's dead on. I think they need to snuggle up, watch this movie, and figure out their life goals together as a couple.
Snuggle up with a hand between two fluffy pillows?
God.
Okay, so we went there. All right, Ian, what do you think there, Bob?
I don't know if I can say any more than that's already been said. Yeah. Wow.
All right, going to you, Mike. What's your nomination?
My nomination is actually going to be a Lethal Weapon 2. It's got to be Lethal Weapon 2 specifically here. We'll get to it, but I like to think about Hill's the old distinguished dynasty veteran, and Roger Murtaugh coming in. He's too old for this shit. That whole thing. Then you get Evan coming in, the young hot shot Martin Riggs coming in. The wild card. And same thing like the last movie, they do learn to be each other's partner by the end. They have a pretty good friendship. And too many movies, and a TV show that they went overboard there, but we'll stop at Lethal Weapon 3, maybe 4. But the reason it's Lethal Weapon 2 specifically is because you can't forget about the wild card Brandon, who I think is just Leo Getz, played by Joe Pesci in the background.
They're about the same.
That is a great analogy. Hot take right there.
I think that Brandon and Pesci are the same height too, which is
They
perfect.
could be, yeah.
5 foot nothing.
Yep.
Whatever you need, Brandon gets.
That's right. Whatever you need, Brandon gets. Oh, I think that's a fantastic take, Michael. Good job. For me, nominated number 3 is Black Sheep. And I think the Chris Farley is Evan, because Evan is at the door at the hotel for Josh, that is the David Spade character, and Evan's just like, "Ooh, can I flap your pillow? Do you need a mint for your pillow?" And he's just trying to make him friends with him, and he's just like on the outside of the door, just hoping for a dream, for David Spade to answer the door. Come on, Josh, just answer the door. Get all fluffed up with your mint. All right?
Wow, that's some
You
interesting.
guys set the standard. I only went over it. All right, just so you know.
Wow.
But who's Gary Busey?
Ooh,
Wow, Sean is redheaded, isn't he?
I'm not redheaded.
What are you talking about? We're
Get
looking
your
at you
head-
on camera.
Get your freaking eyes checked.
You are redheaded.
You are blind, first of all. All right, Ian, tell us who your nomination is, because obviously it's wrong, because you think I'm redheaded. All
I
right.
don't know. We'll do a poll about that too after the nominations.
We got a little
Yeah.
strawberry blonde in the family,
Yeah.
but not redhead.
Oh, get out of here with your strawberry blonde BS.
Hey, if the cousin says so. My nomination was originally Dumb and Dumber. However, I've done a little bit of a audible here, and I've gone for Dumb and Dumberer because I think it's more applicable. Because obviously we're talking about Evan here, so there's nobody more dumberer than Evan.
Leave to you to change the rules right at the end to make
Omaha.
54 is the mic. No, I think it's just two lovable idiots that can't quite get on the same page. And obviously Dumb and Dumberer is about when they meet, which I believe from hearing Evans between his therapy sessions and his tears, I believe they've never actually met. I think that they may have seen cross a room of one another, maybe like star-crossed lovers or something like that. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Wait, was there a heart-shaped pillow that was used?
Perhaps, maybe a filter. I'm not sure. Like a transition in his eyes. But yeah, I believe they've never actually met. But I know that if they do, I'm sure that they'll hash it out.
Big
We hope.
pillow between them. Got it.
With a
What do y'all think?
Yeah, I guess the story is that they were in another fantasy league together, and things didn't start off well, and now they're in another fantasy league together, and things didn't start off well.
This sounds like the plot to any rom-com. Two crossed lovers.
Or any Rocky movie.
But end up with that fluffy pillow between them.
What's funny is we all have our own personal relationships with each one of them, and they're good guys in their own way, but for some reason they just they clash, and it's unfortunate.
What a sideways compliment that was.
Yeah,
We're
really cool in their own ways.
in their own way.
we're
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
Comment card at the end of a bad report card.
Yeah, didn't mean to sound like
Exactly.
that. Didn't mean to sound like that. I mean, yeah, we both we all know them in gosh, I'm getting ready to say it again, in our own ways.
In our own ways, we just
we
love
all-
them.
But
dearly,
we
and
all
just
have
want
our
them to
personal relationships
snuggle
with
up
them.
in bed with their
Yeah.
heart-shaped pillows and everything.
Yeah.
These guys are stuck in a loop. Are we stuck in like
Yes.
the Twilight Zone, Mike?
Might be.
I didn't know
might
the
be,
fifth nomination was Groundhog Day.
Might be. Well, we're pulling for you guys. We're pulling for you. We hope that Netflix.
The league wouldn't be the same without either of them.
No, no
That's
kidding.
facts. The
What I
facts.
would say.
No kidding.
All right, Marky
No.
Mark, explain to our lovely viewers how they can go about voting, putting their votes in on time, and doing it in a proper time period.
Yes.
I did it proper for the Brit on the show.
What do you think about that British accent there, Ian?
It's about as good as his beard.
Oh, all right.
His redheaded
patchy-
beard.
Yeah, sure.
Patchy
You're
is-
talking about my beard. Okay, got it.
So I'm gonna send out all the nominations for you guys to vote on, and we want you to get that back by Monday of next week, so that we can go on Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever we decide to tape, and tell you all the winners. So yeah, look for that in your emails. I'll be the only one that knows the winners, and we're going to do a true awards show style kind of thing. I don't think we'll have a red carpet, but we'll have all the other amenities, and we'll announce the winners, and it should be a fun time. So hope you guys will get those votes back to me by Monday, and we'll go from there. So Sean.
Well, that's the end of the show, Ian. Thank you for coming on the show. We look forward to you next year.
Thanks, Ian.
This is the one and only time I will say congratulations to you for the championship. And now you can go F yourself. And
do you think he's compensating for something?
he's overly compensating for everything.
It's about proportionate.
You know, if you want to catch Ian on his podcast, it's Non-Neutral Zone. He's the co-host, right, Ian?
Yeah, we're actually talking to maybe a rebrand, so stay tuned for that.
Oh,
Awesome.
rebrand
Awesome.
in the works. Stay tuned for that. We will have our awards if everyone can get their votes in. Get your votes in on time, and we will do it next week. Stay tuned for that. Until then, Ian, you suck. I'm looking right at you.